the Straussian people, which actually is communist socialist. And it goes back for a long time. It's actually very, very disturbing when you start looking into it, Tex.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Meyer Lansky was the Chicago kingpin.
Yes.
In the gangster element.
Golda Meir came from that area.
There you go. So here's what Obama did, and it's very clear what he did. He was ingenious enough. He said, "How can I get to the top? The blacks can't make me. Look what happened to Jesse Jackson. You know, I can become a head of some charity or some black pastor or something, but that's nothing. I want to get to the top. Who has the power to make me president of the United States? Well, who has the power? The Jews."
And guess who he saddled up with was Rahm Emanuel, which we've discussed on the show with other guests. But you wanna give your take on his chief of staff? Oh.
Well, yes. For years, Rahm Emanuel has been the controller for Barack Obama, but this has been a hidden connection.
Yeah.
Now, Axelrod was the official campaign manager. So he is Jew. He has been involved in Chicago and Illinois politics for over 30 years. So we have Mr. Axelrod, who becomes the campaign manager, but the man with all the money behind the scenes, the puppet master, is Rahm Emanuel.
That's right.
Now, Rahm Emanuel is the kingmaker in Chicago, and he's been kingmaker in Congress for a number of years as well.
And wasn't he mega in the Clinton White House? He was the guy behind the scenes forcing the Clintons to do exactly as he dictated. Because he was the guy he was the guy that sent Monica Lewinsky into the White House.
That is right. You know, Dick Morris, who was Bill Clinton's chief political advisor, was on Fox TV network, the American network, this last week.
Yeah.
And he revealed some interesting things. You know, Dick Morris is himself Jewish.
Yep.
But you know, like anything else, among thieves, there's no honor, you know. And Dick Morris doesn't really like Rahm Emanuel, but believe me, he will get in line very quick.
Oh boy, yes, he will.
He was a McCain supporter and an advisor during the campaign. Now, and by the way, Dick Morris was the one who vetted him out, and he actually traveled to Israel, and he and Bill Kristol of the National Review magazine, they went to Alaska and chose Sarah Palin. And then, Sarah Palin was actually chosen by Rahm Emanuel with the blessing of Bill Kristol and Dick Morris. But Dick Morris and Bill Kristol went to Alaska and interviewed her and spent days with her before anybody knew her. And let me say something else about Sarah Palin as our in the gallery ran for vice president. No sooner was she elected as governor of Alaska, and remember there are 50 governors, there are 50 states in the United States, that in Israel they celebrated her election as governor of Alaska. And as a matter of fact, if you don't believe me, go online and you can go to the archives of Israel National Radio, and one of the most popular talk shows in Israel, it claims to interview all the movers and shakers, is the Tamar Yonah show. Tamar Yonah show. And only a couple of months after Sarah Palin was elected as governor of Alaska, Miss Yonah of National Israel Radio did a 2-hour special on her, acclaiming her as a great friend of Israel and a Zionist promoter. And
well, didn't she have the Israeli flag in her office? Tex, didn't she have there's a picture of her in her governor's office with an Israeli flag beside an American flag behind her desk.
Absolutely. And so this is why they want it. And by the way, the reason why she is going to be very prominent in Republican politics for the next 4 years is because she is the Zionist billionaire's choice. And as I said, Dick Morris himself, he admitted that he went to Alaska on a cruise with other rich Jews, and they met with her, and then along came Bill Kristol. He went all the way to Alaska. All these people, so she has been chosen. She wasn't surprised by anything. And by the way, I don't think McCain had ever even met the woman before.
And, well, this shows you, Tex, on how important the candidate really is, because the fact is, Obama is still going to take his orders from others. I mean, Zbigniew Brzezinski, of course, is the mirror image of our friend Henry Kissinger there, that criminal, that crazed Zionist. He's a homosexual pedophile, and the fact is, Zbigniew Brzezinski is working with people like Dennis Ross, another Zionist Jew, Holbrook, another Zionist Jew. I mean, we've got this whole administration setting up, and we got Larry Summers coming on board, the guy that orchestrated the ruination of our financial system back in the Clinton years. I mean, we've got it's all Jewish all the time, all Zionist all the time in our government.
That's right. He's brought back Paul Volcker, former chairman of the Federal Reserve, who's Jewish, of course.
Yeah.
And helped to cover up the United Nations scandal. So and Rubin, who was Secretary of Treasurer under Bill Clinton, and of course even Rahm Emanuel himself was a Wall Street broker, investment guy,
and also an IDF soldier.
Yeah, an IDF soldier. And by the way, I like this. It really is sort of interesting. When the first Persian Gulf War began, United States against Iraq, right? And Saddam.
Yeah.
Here is a guy, Rahm Emanuel, an American citizen, so-called, right? And guess what? He was such a patriot that he flew to the Middle East and joined the armed forces so he could fight Saddam Hussein and the Iraqi Muslims. But wait, as you just stated, he was an American, but he didn't go to join the American armed forces. He went to join the Israeli forces, who were not even fighting.
That's right.
Of course, because he didn't want to get shot at. He's a coward.
Well, that's right. And on top of that, his father was a terrorist and a known terrorist that we allowed into the United States, knowing full well he participated with people like Menachem Begin in bomb placement and all kinds of terrorist acts throughout the 60s and 1950s with people like Moshe Dayan and even what's his name, that tub of lard that the Sharon and the rest of them. These people, this Irgun is the roots of this Rahm Emanuel.
Oh, yeah, Rahm Emanuel. The very name is. You may know about means evidently. They claim that Rahm in Hebrew means the highest or high.
Yeah.
And Emmanuel, of course, means God. So he's the Most High God. That's the meaning of his name. He's a monster of a man, and I'm sure you've covered some of the things with your audience there. And remember, this man is going to be the White House Chief of Staff.
Oh boy. Yeah.
But when one person, a pollster, supposedly released a poll that showed that Clinton wasn't too popular in some key states, he sent him a fish, a dead fish, by mail. Now, I want you to think about that. Sent the pollster, what's the message there? Well, that's what the mafia of Chicago do. You're going to be swimming with the fishes. You're going to be a dead man.
Yeah.
And so this was the threat. So why isn't he in prison now for making a threat like that? Now, in addition, Rahm Emanuel, after the impeachment process failed, he was, White House assistant to Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And the report is, and evidently it's been verified, that he got up, they had a meeting to talk about how they were going to get back and get vengeance